Hey everyone and welcome back to a new video. It wasn't that long ago that we got to see the first new models coming to Warhammer The Old World. However, Games Workshop have just shared some more information on the key factions that will be predominantly featured in the game and crucially which factions won't. So in this video I wanted to briefly get into the update, discuss what it says for the future of the game and suggest what questions it's raising. So with all that said, let's start with what we know. The article states very clearly that 9 factions will be the main ones in the story of the Old World. Those include the Empire of Man, the Dwarven Mountain Holds, the Kingdom of Bretonnia, the Wood Elf Realms and the High Elf Realms on the good side of the conflicts. Over on the evil side we have the Orc and Goblin tribes, Warriors of Chaos, Beastmen Brayherds and the Tomb Kings of Khemri, giving us 9 in total. Each of these factions will get official rules published alongside the launch of the Old World, whenever that happens to be, and will take centre stage in the narrative expansions and supplements that come soon after. Now, straight off the bat, I'm excited to hear that we are getting expansion and campaign supplements in the Old World. I imagine they'll mirror a lot of what we already see in Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k, being a balance of story development and the rules for sub-factions, new models and new ways of playing the game, but we'll have to wait and see more news before we can be certain. We do know, however, that each of these 9 factions can expect some new models to join the older range. Whether those models extend beyond heroes, we again don't know, but I suspect they'll include named characters like Asafar Khul, who wouldn't have had models of their own in the later editions of Warhammer Fantasy. On the flip side, Games Workshop also confirmed that Dark Elves, Skaven, Vampire Counts, Ogre Kingdoms, Demons of Chaos, Lizardmen and Chaos Dwarves won't be prominent players in the story, but will still get free PDF rules at the release of the Old World. This will allow players who happen to have those armies to play with them on day one. There is a caveat with Chaos Demons though. Because Asafar Khul has not come to power yet, the power of Chaos is not currently strong enough to support mass demon incursions, explaining why they're not appearing as a standalone army yet. However, GW did leave the door open for when Asafar does become more pivotal, and I suspect that's when they'll launch new faction rules for dedicated demon armies. That said, individual demon units and demon princes do seem to be supported and may simply be getting rolled into the Warriors of Chaos faction for now. What strikes me though is that there's no specific mention of Kislev or Cathay in this update. I suppose Kislev is part of the Empire of Man in this case, and maybe Cathay is too, but I'm not sure if that's how players see them, so I hope Games Workshop just clears that up a little, given many of us are pretty excited for those 2 factions. Otherwise, Games Workshop also confirmed what we already know, that being that the geographical setting for the Old World is, unsurprisingly, the Old World. That covers everything from the coast of Bretonnia to the World's Edge Mountains, so no battles in Ulthuan or Lustria for now at least. That's what we learned in this update, and while I'm sure some will be disappointed that some factions are not as prominent as others, I do think it's a good decision. For one, all of the factions mentioned are getting rules at the start of the Old World, and for many players I think that's enough. Whatever your army, you can jump in and get playing straight away. However, by limiting the narrative focus, I think it gives Games Workshop a better chance at crafting an exciting and immersive set of conflicts within the Old World, without stretching the team too far by trying to tie in Naggaroth and other far-flung locations. Plus, by keeping the campaigns limited to a somewhat localised map, I feel we'll be able to get some great campaign overviews, maybe even campaign maps, that bring that feeling of conflict and conquest that many of us have been getting from Total War Warhammer as of late. However, going back to my questions about Cathay and Kislev, I do think there's some confusion about what's actively supported in Warhammer The Old World. In the Q&A at Warhammer Fest, it was reported that the panel were asked about Chaos Dwarves coming to the game and they said yes. Now, it does seem that Chaos Dwarves are getting rules at the very least, but does that mean that models for the less prominent races will also be readily available? I think that's the question on everyone's minds, and it has the potential to cause a lot of upset if Games Workshop get it wrong or don't manage expectations early. Personally, I think GW needs to stock, online at least, the core faction models and allow people to collect those armies and top up their collections once they see the new rules. For the secondary factions, maybe a seasonal made to order run will be enough to satisfy most players, where every 3 months they get the opportunity to pick up those models before they cycle to another secondary faction. That's just an idea, but given Games Workshop has enough trouble stocking and producing Warhammer miniatures right now, and as they profess, that's kind of their whole business, I think they need to come out at some point in the next few months and share what collecting these armies is actually going to be like. So that's just a brief look at the faction update for Warhammer The Old World and a few thoughts and questions I have off the back of it. Ultimately, I'm really excited that the news seems to not only be coming quicker, but feels more tangible, and hopefully news of a release date isn't too far off either. But what do you think? Are you happy with the news or disappointed? And how do you feel Games Workshop can best handle producing and stocking the Old World model range? Share your thoughts in the comments section. And as always, thank you for joining me today. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll join me for my next one. Until then though, take care.